And with dear Snoopy available to help me welcome you in, happy High Holy Week, beautiful people. I am Reverend Vicky Jeter, your minister and spiritual director for Louisville Center for Spiritual Living Teaching Chapter. This month, we have been invited to stretch with courage and engage living in new ways that we've never done before. Now that we have embraced the potential that everything can be new and different, what's next? That is the theme for today. And this is truly divine timing, because today we embark on a most sacred spiritual opportunity. And this week, in the traditional Christian sense, is between Palm Sunday, which is today, and Easter Sunday next week. By embracing the profound meaning, science of mind style, we're going to find our way to embody even more of how what is past can support not only now, but our future vision for what's possible. And that means you get to do these holy days your way. It is an opportunity to richly experience what Ernest Holmes meant when he expressed two of the statements in the Declaration of Principles. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and innermost God is one God. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. That's one of the statements. And that's followed by, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. So today is about how to cultivate even deeper that sense of close contact personally to each of us. In short, it is done unto each of us as we believe. For each of us, our own sacred experiences, our own holidays are because we make them so through our beliefs and practices that have meaning to each of us. That holy sacred feeling is magnified when we share it on days like today, when we participate in what generates those feelings for us together, even and especially if perhaps exactly what we're thinking and doing is unique. And that is what today and next Sunday are all about. And so we take these ideas into opening prayer, beginning with setting our intentions. Take a moment to check in and see what brought you to be with us today. What portion of your masterpiece are you painting today? Our shared intention is to explore what is holy and sacred to us each individually and together, and what part that plays in creativity and the creative process of transformation and new life in every way at every level. And this we take into our opening prayer. So take a pause, drop back, and with that breath, in the in-breath, we expand and embrace, and as we release, we let go of everything, trusting that flow of the divine. I recognize the one love and law that creates, supports, and sustains all that is, infinitely, world without end. And in this moment, I say thank you. Thank you, presence of life, for the opportunity to be alive, for the opportunity to come together in communion and learn about high holy atmospheres and what that means to each of us and how it supports us in ever evolving to become more of all that is. And with this gratitude in the heart of a child for the fun that comes with it, I release it, I let it be, and so it is. And so indeed, I want to welcome you to Louisville Center for Spiritual Living to be with us today. We welcome all paths to God, all questions, all histories, all faiths, all ways of life. So whether you're with us for the first time, either here this morning or watching on YouTube, thank you, because you are what we are about. Now, setting the stage for more of that atmosphere today, our opening song is Holy Now by Peter Mayer.
When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word, and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick that anything is here at home. So challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water wasn't rare at best, barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk with the reverend there, 'cause everything is holy now. Testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
And on that note, the mission of Louisville Center for Spiritual Living is to teach personal transformation as a virtual community, living the principles of science of mind and celebrating all paths to God, which results in our vision of a world that honors and respects all people. So, of course, we are well aware that what we offer you here is only as good as you can apply it and actually transform your life. So each week we have an application of what we believe. And today's application is today. Something is happening to the whole structure of human consciousness. A fresh kind of life is starting. Driven by the forces of love, the fragments of the world are seeking each other so that the world may come into being. That is actually from decades ago by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. I want to take a moment at this point to say that the reason these applications of principle may be quoted from anyone is an example of the declaration of principle that was just quoted from Ernest Holmes. Spiritual truth expresses everywhere. This teaching is everywhere. And our teaching is not unique in access to this truth. Our teaching is unique in demonstrating how to work with it. And that brings me to our practitioner of the week, Miss Tammy Evans.
Good morning. In preparation for today, I happened to look up what the metaphysical meaning of Palm Sunday is, and it represents our conscious surrender to our innate divinity. I'm keeping that in mind as we go through our reading and meditation. A reading from I Am the Word, Guide to the Consciousness of Man's Self in a Transitioning Time. You are Word. You are an aspect of God being brought forth into light. As you journey, you access this information. You become Christed in consciousness. When you become Christed in consciousness, you ascend. The you ascend, your vibrational frequency elevates and aligns in new patterns that cannot hold the old, and the old falls away as you rise. When you rise, your landscape changes. How it feels to see the world, how it feels to see the self for a higher vibration is marked differently from what you can imagine, because you understand your role as an aspect of the Creator. You move forward rapidly to bring you the mandates of your soul's choice. When you're your soul's choice, you achieve what is required for your soul's achievement. It cannot go any other way. So as we transition into centeredness for meditation, take a few breaths, relax in your chair, feet on the floor. If it's comfortable, let my words become yours, and we'll start the meditation with the ringing of the bowl. I awaken to the truth of my being. I am a unique expression of the divine. I am aware of my inner divinity and the powers of the divine that flow through me. I actively live life from a higher consciousness. I let go of control, and I'm open to what life throws at me. I acknowledge and embrace my reality by actively working through emotions and learning to accept the capital T truth of my situation. I release the hope that the past can be different. I accept the reality of my situation, and when people show up as human, I forgive and let go. In a world that is so divided, I see the divine in all and treat everyone and everything with kindness and love. Reminding myself that old thought patterns and behaviors no longer serve me. Grounded in truth, I step forward into ever greater good. My inner happiness is no longer dependent on what is happening outside of me. I know that even though the challenges around me do not change, the consciousness that I bring to them can and does. I am open to situations and opportunities that allow me to stretch into a bigger and better expression of who I am. I am that I am. I am one with the one. Take your time. Slowly bring yourself back into this place. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Namaste. And so it is.
But indeed, it is so much my joy to reiterate to you in this feeling that our topic today is new, now, what's next? So the message is a culmination of influences. Spring is the season of renewal. Today is Palm Sunday, and Easter Sunday bracket High Holy Week, which is a most powerful spiritual opportunity, engaging the process of renewal consciously. And since the beginning of 2024, our global spiritual organization has been encouraging us to look at everything, the things we say, the things we do, in completely new ways for the purpose of positively impacting our experience of the world today. We can do this. And right here, right now, this is part of how we do that. So what's next is making the most of the opportunity before us from this week together into next week's sacred ceremony of releasing and embracing. What manifests from that for each of us and for the community as a whole will be a complete adventure. So, to begin, in nature, spring renewal happens organically, as it is happening for all of us right outside our front door, or back door, as it were. Mother Nature moves all beings all through life in the dynamic transitions of moving from winter into spring. Winter is defined by the vitality of previous seasons withering, dying, and being released in preparation for the next cycle of renewal to come. Now, this is one of the areas where human beings have traded being carried through the process by nature, not having to work at it, for the blessing of the ability to make conscious choices about when and how we renew instead. So, as we continue through today, my invitation is for you to ask yourself, what is true for me? What images, symbols, and timing work for me in conscious renewal? What would my Holy Week look like? What would it include? And how would it feel? So, my guess is that some of the Christian images in our slides and the opening song may have struck some in our community as a familiarity, a comfort, and with spiritual appreciation. For others, quite likely, the images call forth your patience because they just don't work for you personally. Maybe some of them work for you and some of them don't. Now, I'm not intending to suggest that anything should mean anything to anybody in particular, but because of their tremendous potency in spiritual symbology historically throughout the ages, and the emotional intensity that has been invested with the longevity, that potency opens up the opportunity for the atmosphere that can cause opening the intention that gets carried with them, no matter where we're coming from with it. It's one of the reasons, one of the things I say about the power of the Bible is not so much what the Bible says, although certainly truths are in there. But the thing is about that is that so many people have turned to the Bible in prayer, that there's an atmosphere that comes with that sacred text that opens up the opportunity for prayers to be answered just because it has been engaged with so much faith. And so that's part of what's happening with the symbols of the palm fronds and the various symbols that come along. It's a part of what has gone on for so long. It just carries power with it. And so all of life, including human beings, are going through the cycles of transition, transformation, and renewal. The phases in the process are the same or very similar for all creation throughout time. Those cycles are universal. The details of what our symbols are and the meaning that we give them as we move through are completely unique. So for some, Christian symbology works. For some, what are historically called pagan images and symbols represent the sacred. For others, the Hindu symbols that we've talked about before of Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Shiva, the destroyer, work better. These are three different spiritual languages for life moving through the process of creation. There are as many potentials for this expression as there are people. So, with this in mind, I want to take a look at three brief descriptions, different phases of the process of transition, transformation, and renewal expressed through the Christian story from three totally unique spiritual leaders. If you engage the story as an allegory, you can ask yourself, where is this character in my process? Or who in my life does this person represent as a group? So, High Holy ranges from March the 24th to March the 30th this year. And these three phases represent Palm Sunday, Holy Thursday, which was actually the day of the Last Supper, and Good Friday. So to begin, Scott Aubrey says, in Christianity, Good Friday commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus, which was the conclusion of a number of events in Holy Week, including the triumphant return of Jesus into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, the washing of the disciples' feet by Jesus, and the Last Supper, which was Holy Thursday. Now, many wonder why the holiday is referred to as Good Friday, given the events of that day. What's true is the word good back then actually denoted holy. It wasn't good in the way that we think of good or bad. It was holy. Now, how does this apply to each of us? All of these actions are preparations for the transformation to come. Conscious preparation is an essential phase in the process of conscious co-creation, transformation, and creation of something new. When you have a chance to release what is old and step into a whole new experience, how do you prepare for that? One example almost everyone can relate to, either through personal experience or witnessing it for loved ones, is special steps and symbols involved in getting married. We buy and bless wedding rings. We wear special clothing and decorations. The time taken and the thoughts and feelings we have during those preparations are all about what makes something sacred, what brings us to that sacred spiritual sense of connection. Very often, we don't even realize how deep that feeling is going to go through those structures and how we'll be inspired until we're in the moment, until you're standing there at the altar, being baptized or married or whatever it is. You don't realize what those investments have brought you to until you're actually there, and like that one moment in time. So now, about Palm Sunday, Susan Freeborn, a Quaker minister, said, when Jesus rode into Jerusalem, he knew he was going to die on Friday. He did not flinch. He did not turn back. The Christ knew that he was forever in the loving embrace of his divine origin. He surrendered his doubts and his fears, and so can we. Choose today to co-create your life with your understanding of spirit. Choose today to live a life that is powered by love. Recognize it, claim it, spread it around. It multiplies upon contact. There is no shortage of good. There is a power in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. Now, in literal terms, this suggestion that anyone would walk right into such a situation as Jesus did is flatly unacceptable to the rational human mind. However, in the creative process universally, this passage represents the acknowledgement that for every new life, a life has been lost. For every new leaf on every tree, the leaf that was before it has died and fallen away. This is a depiction of ultimate conscious awareness of the process. It is a natural cycle. And realizing that we can have conscious participation in this part of the process too can dispel doubts we have and release our fears. This acknowledgement is practiced in Native American traditions when they pray before they hunt. And it's also consciously engaged when we say grace as a blessing before we eat. So, taking a breath, I know that was a lot. In this third phase, about rising and renewal, in his book Spiritual Awareness, Ernest Holmes said, Jesus spoke of the joy which he had and which he desired us to have, that our joy might be full. There is music at the center of everything. The melody is real. We must uncover the song and permit it to saturate our souls with joy. The ancients said, the wind whispers, the leaves clap their hands, and the morning stars sing together. Spiritual living is not a droll affair. It is the triumphant entry of the soul into the secret place of the Most High, where the scroll of life is inscribed with joyous words. I am divine spirit in the midst of all. This speaks to the joy that springs forth for most of us naturally when we have risen into new life, a new experience, when we learn something new about ourselves, when we hold a newborn baby, when we see baby animals crossing our paths, which happens all over the place here in Louisville. Ducks and geese and squirrels and rabbits are everywhere, brand new, coming into the world. Or when we get that new position, or we get the new keys to the new car or the new home. All of this speaks to the energy of renewal and grand rising. So these are three phases we are invited to engage consciously from this week into the next. And again, it's not about the specifics of the ancient story. The cycles have been depicted through. It is about the characters and the symbols and how they speak to you, how you find your story and how you would depict it. So next week, we will have an opportunity together in an atmosphere of sacred space to release whatever is ready to fall away, creating for ourselves one moment in time to consciously experience a grand rising into what we choose as what is new in that space for each of us, even though we'll go through the motions uniquely with very particular things in our minds and hearts, to be sure. Whatever we release and embrace, doing it together generates that exponential quality, each one of us coming with a quality of intention for each other in common. That is like the power of the pond fronds being held as sacred to so many people this very day. So this week, between now and next Sunday, I encourage you to consider, contemplate, meditate, and pray about what is calling to be released in your life now. How can you prepare to release them? Is there anything that would be good for you to do before you have the opportunity to let go? So if so, see about doing that. Now, I have a couple of practices to share that are preparation steps for releasing and embracing. And these are just options as resources. The first, most simple one, is to imagine yourself sweeping away old beliefs and constraints that have been holding you back. This was originally taught to our community by Reverend Carolyn. She described daily rising in the morning and as part of spiritual practice, really sweeping her space with a broom, all the while inside knowing she was sweeping away any and all beliefs that no longer serve her. Now you can imagine different rooms in your house as different areas of your life to sweep them in preparation. And the second practice is a practice I developed that I call writing a contract of closure and or a contract of new agreements. It is a process of writing out a description of an old belief or an old relationship that simply declares it's complete, it's done, it's closed as was. Then making sure to write a new description of what you are putting in its place. Now, if this process sounds appealing to you and you would like more detail or an example, please do let me know today or sometime this week. Call me, email me, reach out to me, because it would be my absolute joy to support you in that actual process. So when I first had the inspiration to develop that process, just as an example, I used it to transform my concept of some relationships that were no longer working well. And I brought in new relationships instead. And those relations in particular, I wrote one from my mom, and I wrote what was completed, and then what I chose to be new in connection with her, even though she has transitioned. I know that that relationship continues. And then I wrote one also for my dad in the same way. And then I wrote one for the husband I was choosing to attract into my life. That's one of the things I'm always teasing Vernon about, because he has no idea how much actual, metaphysical effervescence brought him into my life. So, just so you can know, I've been talking about, we're going to do water soluble paper, and that's an option. If you did not get water soluble paper, you're all good. You just need paper, a pen, and a trash can. If you do have your water soluble paper, make sure and have available either a cup or a bowl that you will drop what you're releasing into. And then you might also write what you're going to be embracing. You might also dissolve that as well. It depends if a person feels like they need to, nest on what they're embracing, or whether they just need to release it as well. That will be up to you. I just wanted to describe to you just a bit of what the actual ceremony will be like, and there will be many things that lead up to that for the beginning of service next Sunday. And so when you are considering what you're putting in its place, this is part of where the fun begins, because of course we're cultivating what is new. I invite you to drop into what you just heard the divine Miss Whitney sing to us, and ask yourself, if I have one moment in time to be more than I thought I could be, if I were free to know that my answers are all up to me, what would I choose? That's the question of this week. Now, this might be a big idea that you've had to take to a next step, but it doesn't have to be a grand plan at all. It could be the simplest of ideas. It is the opening wide to that embodiment of freedom to do whatever you want. That is the magic. And with that, we go into affirmative prayer. Take all of that energy rising, take a breath, and let it find its place, literally melting down and relaxing within you. And we simply say, I recognize the one and only one, love and law, right here and right now. And as I recognize it as one and all, necessarily, I am one with it. As I recognize each person here as the one and all, I am one with each being within the sound of my voice. I am one with each being that makes up this community. And from that alignment in mind, heart, and soul, I realize that the intention, the words spoken, and the feelings behind it are already acting in the law, just celebrating and thrilling to this process of opportunity, to this gestation for everything that is taking place right here and right now. And so I simply say, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, God. And with the heart of a child, both in fulfillment and in great anticipation at the same moment, I release it, I let it be, and so it is.
Now is the time for our giving of our gifts. We would like to thank you for the many ways you support Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. And the different ways to give are in the chat. If you would please read the affirmation with me. Right here, right now, I am thinking outside the box. I am drawing outside the lines. My receiving and giving of good is over the top today.
Thank you so much, Tammy. And it is my great pleasure. I have actually been nesting on something to share with the community that has to do with how incredibly blessed we are. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to let you all know that within the last couple of months, from the beginning of this year, sometime back in January, CSL National put out a registry of tithes and gifts that the centers gave to National over the years, from whatever a center's inception was. And for us, that was in 2009. Okay, so all of a sudden, we did not know this was coming. All of a sudden, I open up this email and I'm like, well, this is cool. And I'm going down through the years, and I stopped myself because I realized when I got to the bottom from 2009 all the way through to 2023, to the end of 2023, I was like, oh, I want to see what I can, intuit about this. Now, to be clear, as I'm saying this to you all, our center from the very beginning, we have respected the power of tithing. And so we tithe 10%, and 5% of that tithe has gone to National. The other 5% has gone to local charities throughout the years from 2009 to 2023. And so I'm scrolling down and I'm thinking, I'm going to get to the bottom of this puppy, and it's going to be somewhere between, $10,000 and $25,000. I get down to the end of that scroll and I see over $45,000
Wow.
that our center, Louisville Center for Spiritual Living, has given to home office, to National. And so I'm like, wowie. And then I realized, oh my God, so that's 5% to National. That means another $45,000 has been given by this community to Blessings in a Backpack and women's shelters and, Salvation Army for men who don't have a place to stay. And so the reason I want to tell you about this right now, when I say to you that whatever you're putting in place of what you're releasing, if it is the simplest thing, trust in Spirit to magnify it. If you have ever given $1 to this center, Spirit has taken it and multiplied it over the top. Because then the last thing I want to leave you as I'm describing this, so if you take 45,000 and 45,000, somebody tell me what that adds up to. Say it with me. $90,000. $90,000 is right at the doorstep of $100,000, and that is 10%, people. Wow. That means the total value of financial good that has been represented through this organization, 90% of which, of course, we've used for operating expenses, but that means we have together floated practically $1 million. Wow. Between 2009 and 2023. So please don't ever discount whatever you're able to give us, because absolutely, if it's $1, it's going to be magnified. It's going to be added to that financial good, which absolutely we do. We thank you, God, for that, because we need that to be able to operate. But at the same time, all of your thoughts, all of your intentions, all of your prayers, all of your support that comes this way is also being magnified that way in God. So when you wonder, what can I possibly do for the world? Do that. Keep doing what you're doing and keep remembering that over just not quite 20 years, this is the value that has come through this organization, our little organization. And so that's my blessing. Thank you for listening to me. I hope it touched your heart at the level that is intended, and we can move on to announcements.
Okay, so it is time for the announcements. And tomorrow, Monday, March 25th at 5:15 p.m. Eastern, there is a Zoom board meeting at this Zoom link. So if you are interested, please attend. An Easter Sunday Sacred Service is March 31st. Plan to decorate your space with sacred symbols and things that express spiritual renewal, creativity, and fun of Easter for you. Have with you for the releasing and accepting ceremony your favorite writing or drawing utensils and water-soluble paper if you have it, with a cup or bowl of water. If not, regular paper with a trash can will work just fine. And then plan to join our next class, the Art and Science of Spiritual Mind Treatment, with an instructor of Reverend Vicky Jeter and assisted by me. It's 8 weeks, starting Wednesday, April 10th to May 25th from 7 to 9 Eastern. The cost is $140 plus 2 books.
And before we go to the next slide, I want to put a little plug in for this in a couple of ways. First is, we have 6 students so far. If you are thinking about taking this class, please do let me know for preparation purposes, myself and Tammy. And also, not to be putting particular people on the spot, but I was delighted this last week to realize I had lost track. Miss Maruk Neville, who will be in this class, has actually taken this class before, because in 2021, when Reverend Rick was here, he taught this class and I was not a part of it. So I completely lost track that this has been introduced to some in our community before. So if you're wondering, like, do I really want to take this class? I'm saying Maruk has decided to take it a second time, and there's going to be a reason for that. And I have a feeling if you were to ask her, she would be glad to tell you her experience.
And we're also having an in-person gathering for the early lunch at California Pizza Kitchen, Monday, April 15th, 11 a.m. Eastern, honoring Pat Ferguson's retirement in January of 2024. Come meet each other, get hugs, share pizza, salads, wraps, and more with reasonable prices. Of course, you are always invited to stay after the benediction for our sharing time. And finally, always remember and never forget, you are magnificent. And now is our closing song, I Lived, by One Voice Children's Choir International.
Fear the fall. Hope when the water rises, you build a wall. Hope when the crowd screams out, it's screaming your name. Hope if everybody runs.
You say
I did it all. I did it all. I owned every second that this world could give. I saw so many places, the things that I did. Yeah, with every broken bone, I swear I lived. Hope that you spend your days, but they all add up. Woo! And when that sun goes down, hope you raise your cup. Oh, I wish that I could witness all your pain. But until my moment comes, I'll say I did it all. I did it all. I owned every second that this world could give. I saw so many places, the things that I did. Yeah, with every broken bone, I swear I lived. I swear I lived. I swear I lived. Every broken bone,
I swear I live.
every broken bone,
I swear I live.
every broken bone, with every broken bone, with every broken bone, with every broken bone. I did it all. I did it all. I owned every second that this world could give. I saw so many places, the things that I did. Yeah, with every broken bone, I swear I lived. I swear I lived. I swear I lived. I swear
With all of that in mind, I invite you to say, if you choose, our benediction. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life star, hath had elsewhere its setting, and cometh from afar, not in entire forgetfulness, not in unconsciousness, but trailing clouds of glory do we come from God, who is our home. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. Amen.